Let's bring in Matthew Whitaker, former U.S. attorney, to give us insight on this. Matthew, what are we to make of this at this point? We're looking for the affidavit. We get it. It tells us mostly nothing or things we already knew. Where are we?
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges, and good morning to be with you all. One of the biggest challenges is that we really haven't moved the ball very far down the field from where we were. You know, there is desire, and I think it should be required based on what DOJ has done previously in 2016 and in 2020 for transparency, and that, you know, Merrick Garland owes the American people, I think, more than they're showing here. I'm concerned that they think because they released this affidavit that somehow they're off the hook from providing any more transparency. I mean, doing this search warrant 90 days before the 2022 election, and now kind of resting on that under the attitude that we can't talk anymore about this case because it's an ongoing investigation, I think does put their thumb on the scale, and it's very concerning to me. And, you know, President Trump is absolutely right, you know, about the nuclear issue, is that we've seen all these leaks coming out of the Department of Justice, unfair leaks that have colored this case. None of it is supported in the affidavit. And, you know, I think we really need the Department of Justice to come clean and explain to the American people why this extraordinary step was taken when it appears that really this thing had been meandering between the archives, the FBI, and the Trump office for 18 months. It just doesn't make any sense, even after the release of this affidavit.
Matt, is there anything that will put more pressure on them to release more information, or is this it? I mean, they released this, we got this, basically it's all redacted, we see no probable cause for the most part in here, so what can be done at this point?
Yeah, the only thing that can be add pressure to the Department of Justice to provide transparency is for a judge, either the magistrate judge Reinhart or this district court judge who supervises him in South Florida, to put pressure and to say this, you know, what you're providing isn't enough transparency, or, you know, quite frankly, to have it come from the top, which, you know, President Biden doesn't appear willing to either engage in this case or suggest that, you know, anything is wrong about this case.
Matthew, I'd love to. So if there's anything that we gleaned from this probable cause affidavit, in my estimation, it was how much it relied on the concept of classification. You're a former acting attorney general. You're the perfect guy to ask this question to. I'm a little surprised because it is my understanding, and I want you to correct any misgivings I may have here, but that the President of the United States is essentially the determining factor of classification, that he can at any time, and of course the Trump camp has made this argument, declassify anything. It's an administrative function designed for those under him in the executive branch. Is that true?
Will, you're exactly right. There's actually two things at play. First is that that all executive power, including classification, emanates from the president, who is elected by the people. And I think that, you know, there's pretty obvious statutes that do not include the president in classification, you know, crimes, for example. It includes lower officers and contractors, but the president of the United States, to the most part, is exempt from this. And I think that's why possibly the Department of Justice mentions obstruction in this affidavit. But, you know, there is no criminal case to be made against Donald Trump. He did nothing wrong. You know, the more we learn about this case, the weaker it gets. It appears that all it was the National Archives wanting to use the FBI to go get these documents.
Really quickly, Matthew, there will be those who hear the conversation you and I just had and say, in fact, President Biden made this estimation. You can't just go, I declassify everything, or think it in your head, or portray it with your actions. Is there some procedure that somehow, I guess, also supersedes the constitutional power invested in the president that he must follow to declassify, that President Trump might not have followed?
Yeah, so President Obama and President Bush had both set up essentially an ability to not follow those regulations, and that was the executive order that was in place for President Trump. So yes, while it would be imprudent to wave a wand and declassify everything under the sun, to Joe Biden's point, President Trump specifically declassified, in my understanding, certain types of documents. That is certainly effective and would declassify those documents.
Matthew Whitaker,
there we go.
Former acting AG. Great perspective this morning. Thank you so much.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you all.